Hello, welcome to a new game called Experience. Well, it's not a new game. It's actually not even on the Steam store anymore. So I'm just going to go into the shop, choose guns, which basically this is how you do it. Most people can't get this game out of Russian. I'll go into details about that. So you got some special powers here. You got the bottom row, and you got the top row. The top row you can only purchase or activate one at a time, and you press E to while in game to activate it. The bottom row activates automatically, and again you can only have one perk at a time. And the guns are pretty good at this game, so this is an example of what the gun looks like. And there's 20 levels to this game. To go through the single platforms, you got to press S and space, and that will send you down. And this is the second gun, you can see. So the guns are pretty good. And the 20 levels have different requirements to pass each one. So that's basically all it is. Originally, when this was first on the Steam store, it was about 77 cents on a 75% discount or an 87% discount, and that's it. That was level 1. Now, as I said, now with this level 2, you'll see there's certain targets that need to be taken care of. You can only pass this level if you go this way. If you choose, you got to be very careful. And the targets are always the aliens and moving things. So if you blow up a box, it's not part of the targets. The sound is done by Hipix, which is quite a good, cheap sound music maker, music designer, soundtrack designer. So if you're an indie developer yourself, I'd actually recommend Hipix. But what I don't recommend is the developer, who is Hipix. So for those that will probably already realise, so we're going through all of Hipix's games to look at the psychology behind a bad developer. Now this is a Russian developer. We exposed him in a Platro video as Vadim Simikov, and basically he's a single indie Russian developer. This is a sock puppet account that he used to use on Steam, and he used to just publish all the crap that he didn't want to be bothered with, and most of the games were broken, and this is one of them. 4 levels of this game out of the 20 do not work, are unpassable. Strangely enough, as I was saying, the game was, because it's in Russian, it does have an English translation, but the English translation doesn't save in the Steam in the menu settings, so no one could get the game out of Russian. What I've actually done is gone into the programming and manually taken it out of Russian text and converted it to English. So that's the big difference here. So unfortunately, because no one could get their game out of Russian, no one could pass level 4. Everyone was typing level 4 is impossible, and so everyone who bought the game wasn't able to get their way out. Level 4 actually isn't broken. You can actually pass it. Level 4 works. All the levels that are broken, the 4 levels that are broken are after that, but no one knew that. So unfortunately, any broken sort of messages was disputed, and rightfully so, but not for the reasons that people were stating, as I said. So that's a bit about the story about the game. Now, as I said, 8 games of Hipix was deleted. Steam did a cleanup about a year ago, and one of the cleanups was Dagestan Technology, I think they go by. It was a publisher, very chunky publisher, who used to publish massive amounts of broken rubbish games, and as a result 1,000 games went offline, was deleted, removed from the Steam store. And what a and all of Vadim Simikov's games was as a result of that. So I've actually finished the targets. There's the doors opened up here, so you just drop 3. Now level 3 on this is a little bit different. You got an enemy coming to you, or just a wall of death coming to you from the left hand side, so you got to rush through this as much as possible. These levels were the most exciting in this game, and all of them worked. You can see the wall of death there, and you have to choose a correct pathing. If you don't choose the correct pathing, you'll die. So it's kind of like a maze on a platform level. Like if I went to choose the bottom area of that, I would just come against a dead end and die. So you've got to memorize the correct pathing that you need to take, as well as avoiding keeping in front of that wall of death. So I have to drop down there. If I was to continue up, I would just hit lasers and die. Now I'm changing to double jump, so that's the one that you need to click if you want to get past level 4. I don't know how you could get this game anymore. If you're a game collector, you might have to email Vadim Simikov directly. Now, as I said, he's even though this account Hipix, all lowercase, got deleted, he actually has another sock puppet account called Hipix, but with capital letters, and that's still on the Steam store. Yep, even though the guy got deleted from the Steam store, he's still got 2 accounts and still is publishing games on the Steam store. His other account is VAT Games, and he uses that also. And that's a common trick that you'll find with many developers. They have more than one company, and depending on the quality, depends on what they put in what company. So you have to be very careful. As I said, even though I was impressed that Steam cleaned up, they need to really keep cleaning up their store, and that's a major problem. They're not doing that. Now the double jump is a big glitch, so you just hold it down. If I was to hold it down next to a wall, it would actually just not work and I would die to my death. And that's it. This is you just drop down in that area, and that's level 3 done. So yeah, now Steam have just recently changed their. So originally Steam had green light, and only could games get on their store if they were popular. Problem with that was the developers were buying people's thumbs ups, or and that was easy. Just promote a free game, and you'll get the necessary amount of people thumbs up your game. It wasn't that very difficult, and so Steam became inundated with rubbish, not just rubbish but porn and all sorts of things, and it started getting, there was malicious viruses getting put on Steam, and it was just getting messy and absolutely, I was getting sick of it, to tell you the truth. I still am sick of some of the things that were happening. And while we go on about these bad developers and not earning money for doing dodgy stuff, what tipped me off is that Steam also earns money from these dodgy developers. And my sister once said something profound. She said, I work very hard for my money, so I have all the rights to complain, especially if my money that I work for is being abused and my trust or misleading. And regardless of the terms of service that Steam puts in, you've got international laws that they need to abide by. But there's also I guess an ethics which just isn't being applied by. Now, if I fell down there, I wouldn't be able to get back up, so I'm not falling down trying to kill the alien without falling down. Oh, we're on level 6, by the way, and this one doesn't work. So there's more. The requirement is 21 targets, and there's simply not 21 targets on this map. So there's just nothing you can do. The door doesn't unlock and yeah, it's a miscalculation, very silly, and you wonder why the developer, having spent time on this, and I'll go into that in a moment, why he didn't just, because ultimately these problems that he does have with this game that causes it not to work could be fixed within probably an hour or two, to tell you the truth. They are so basic in programming requirements that neither publisher or developer cared to fix them. Having said that, no one got to this, as I said, because no one could get past level 4 because I couldn't get the game out of Russian. And again, that was a legitimate complaint, and it was never fixed, and that would have taken the developer to fix that less than a minute. So this shows you how blatantly they really don't care about people. What they all they're doing is they market a very sleazy, misleading commercial on the Steam store. They might pay people to thumbs up, their families or anything might thumbs up the game, give it an overall somewhat a positive review, and people will give it the benefit of the doubt and will purchase it. Now, if you if you're making a percentage per sale, you only need I think a couple hundred people before you start making money. I think it's about 100. So you can see why. Now, to combat this, what Steam has done is they've taken off the greenlit, so you can't no longer vote games in. And now it's just a direct $100, I think it is, to get your game on, and basically it's the customers' problems if they buy the game. Having said that, they've now introduced you have 2 hours of gameplay before you can demand a refund policy. So as long as if you do that within 2 hours, because most bad games can be completed before 2 hours and refunded. And this has sent another wave of people saying, well, you know, I am actually a genuine developer and my game doesn't take 2 hours, so I'm not going to make any money because everyone's going to ask for a refund and play my game for free. I still don't think it's going to work anyway. Even the bad developers, I think, are still actually going to make money. I really don't have a lot of faith in this new idea. What I would personally like to see, and if you have a look at the requirement on the left hand side, we have to find 5 downs. Yeah, spelling errors galore here. I'm sure it means donuts, but anyway, I'm off to find 5 downs. Now, this is a level that also doesn't work for a different reason. There's an area where you have to drop down to collect one of the downs, but you can't get back up, and I will show you that. So, as I said, it's kind of the other thing. And I think we're all responsible to some degree. Let's go back. So the first game by this guy was Invasion, and we showed that last time. I showed that in its entirety. And the problem was it wasn't a great game on the basis of it was a grinding game, and this is a grinding game too. So you need to keep collecting those gems until you can buy the perk, which allows you to double jump before you can pass level 4. So there's you would be required to do the same level over and over and over and over again, and it's the same with buying the weapons. Of course, I just wrote into the programming and gave myself an exceptionally large amount of coinage so gems, so I could actually just unlock everything, because I can't be bothered. I haven't got the time to grind. There's too many grinding games now, and I just can't be bothered with it. And there's no achievements, by the way, if you're worried about achievement hunters are pretty stupid in this way of that you need a double jump to get there. They go overboard on if anyone writes into programming and does these things. There's no achievements to this game. There's 6 in-game achievements, so I haven't broken any achievement laws, though I really can't be bothered anymore to tell you the truth. And so Invasion was the first one. I think it was done around about 2015, somewhere around there, I think. That's just by memory. This is 7 months, so this is the second game. It's 7 months after Invasion. Now the difference is Invasion worked. It wasn't a great game, but you know, it worked, and I can't fault it. I can't fault it on the basis that, like Jim Sterling does. Jim Sterling flames Invasion, saying what a rubbish game because he couldn't rush through it, and he was judging it on the basis of what its target audience was. There are genuinely gamers who love to grind. They love the notion. So, you know, I can't fault it on that myself because that's what it was designed to be. My whole thing is, does it work? And yes, it did. There was no bugs. It worked perfectly. All the levels, it was designed, it was play tested. This game was never play tested. So even though it was 7 months release, I don't think it took this guy 7 months to build this. So I think after he made the first game, he was already doing a deal with Dagestan Technology. He was probably busy doing schooling or something else. And after he finished schooling in the last month, he made this game. So that's what I think would have taken 7 months. There's no way on the world this would have taken 7 months to make. I really just don't see that. And again, it wasn't play tested at all. Now a trailer was made, of course, not by him, by someone else who probably has Dagestan Technology connections. And again, all that person needed to do was to unlock each level and just show the bosses. So every 5 levels you get a boss. And I think that basically, this is the one you drop down here and you can't get back up. So you would have seen the boss. I was talking too much to even notice the boss on level 5. This is a voiceover because it sounds too loud. And the bosses were not too bad. Problem is the guns are so powerful that later on you just can destroy them in like a second or two. The guns are that powerful. And as you can see, I just can't get up. You might be able to climb this green trellis, I would have thought, but no, there's no way up. So unless it's that green trellis is passable, and once you're down there, that's it, you die. And that's what the death scene looks like. Even though there was a trailer made, the people that usually make the trailers are given the same menus that developers have, and they can just unlock every chapter. They can probably go infinite lives. They've got a lot of perks to them. So you can't use them as play testers. That doesn't make sense. In this one, you just have to find the exit. So these levels always worked. And again, another thing developers often do, especially early developers, is they make their game really dark. I don't know why. It doesn't really make it challenging. But every developer does that. Every indie developer gets so sick of it. Do the opposite, guys. Brighten your game up. Make it highly bright, and you'll probably get more thumbs up, to tell you the truth, relying on that dark mechanic. And this is another level that doesn't work. So again, you don't. There's more target requirements and what there are enemies on the levels. Believe me, I've checked really thorough. I've spent more time on this game than anyone else. I've spent more time on this game than probably the developer himself. So as I said, so playtesting is probably where this one fails straight away, and because of that, it wasn't. Now English, I don't know why, and it kind of reminds me of a documentary I saw on the Nigerian scam email, and I'm starting to get this inclination with a lot of indie developers too. So, you know, a lot of the bad games, you'll see misspellings, you'll see all sorts of rubbish and everything else. And I'm actually thinking a lot of them are doing that on purpose. So, with the Nigerian scam email, a lot of people make out because there's an unusual amount of misspellings and grammatical errors in that email. And everyone laughs and makes fun about it, and who would be so stupid as to fall for that and think it's real. But the person who invented the Nigerian scam email is actually a really intelligent guy that's now in prison, but really intelligent. I saw a documentary about him, and he states that he actually put all those grammatical errors on purpose because he didn't want to waste time with trying to be challenged by intelligent people. He wanted to take advantage of those that got rich by happenstance. Maybe they came through somebody's will and they got rich. Somebody with a very low IQ. And what he wanted to do is rip those people off. So, and this is where it gets very, you know, scummy what the Nigerian scam email is all about. It was his target audience. And when you look at a lot of these games that are, you know, no effort done into them, everything else, they've got a lot of spelling errors always in them. But when you actually look at the guy, and this includes Vadim Simagov, I don't know if he doesn't understand English well, because when you look at his English, he actually seems to understand English quite okay, unless if he's hiring someone. So again, I'm starting to wonder if it even goes down to that perspective, whether he's trying to lessen intelligent people playing and exposing him by just getting, because intelligent people probably wouldn't waste their time. Having said that, one target audience he never really went into is achievement hunters, and there's a lot of bad developers that do that. Achievement hunter games were one of them. So they're games that have no content. Basically, they're just bare-boned and they're broken, and but they'll unlock 5,000 achievements. And people bought them galore. And I think it's not just Steam that's a problem here. I think that also people like achievement hunters are a big problem. So as you can see, I haven't got the target requirement. Still 9 left over, and there's not 9 enemies left on this map. So all I can do is just exit out and go to the next one. And I'll change the gun to spruce things up a little bit. And sorry it's taking so long, but I want to explain why I do this the way I do it. Do I change it to magnetic? Yeah, let's change it to magnetic. And now we got another boss. Watch how quickly I get through this boss. Boom. Done. That's crazy stuff. And I think this is the last level that doesn't work. Again, targets, not enough targets for the target requirement. I've taken the double jump off because once you've got double jump, you can't actually press S and space and go through those lower accounts. So double jump actually breaks the single down jump. So you've got to choose one or the other when it comes to levels. You'll also notice that the gems are following me because I've got magnet on. I don't know if you know, Super Mario 64, people keep coming up with new ways of playing that game, and one of the challenges you can YouTube this is the Green Devil challenge. And basically there's a one-up mushroom that you can get on levels, like you climb a tree and a one-up mushroom jumps out. But instead of picking up the extra life, instead let it chase you around the stage and try and collect the 8 red coins without the Green Devil catching you. And it is actually quite an exciting and challenging challenge. We spent a whole night playing that challenge, and we had so much fun and laughs as a group as we tried to see who could be the first to achieve it. And it was amazing how close we kept getting, but the Green Devil would slowly keep getting closer and closer, and kind of like the gems. You'll see me purposely just to entertain myself. I'll ignore the gems and see the gems following me around the whole entire map. I'm not doing it as much as to try and as I would the Green Challenge, but it gave me that sense of nostalgia when I played that. The other good thing about this weapon is you can just shoot through walls, so you can shoot through all the enemies lower. So I would have to get rid of the double jump to jump underneath this platform that I'm on. So you do have to choose which levels you use that double jump on. And this is pretty much you've pretty much seen the whole game, really. This is the last level that doesn't work. All the other levels work after this. There are some tricky ones. There's only one way to pass it, and if you don't use the same method I show you, you will not pass it. And again, it's got to do with the fact that once you jump down, you can't get back up. So you've got to make sure you get everything up the top first before you start, getting down lower. So that's basically what it is. The other thing though is our YouTubers responsible too, myself included, and I'll again use the Invasion and Jim Sterling video to explain what I mean by this. And I'm generally, I love Jim Sterling. I think he can be very, very funny, so don't get me wrong there. I'm not challenging him. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, and I respect his opinions quite a lot. So when Jim Sterling did the remember this was Vadim Simikov's first game, and he was entirely flamed. I kind of feel that Vadim Simikov did put a genuine try in his first game. It was his first game, he generally tried, it did work. And yet it got extremely flamed by Jim Sterling. And I think after that, it was more like well, stuff it, why am I trying? I might as well just put out crap like everyone else. And I think that might have been actually the mentality there. There's no point in trying to compare a indie developer with a AAA company. That's just stupid. And there's no point trying to judge a game on, let's say, having a grinding mechanic when that's the whole point of the grinding mechanic. It might not be your favorite game, but you can't judge it on that basis. It'd be like trying to judge an action because it doesn't have enough comedy in it. That's not a fair justification. And so I kind of feel that might have played an area in it, but it still doesn't excuse it. Why put out a whole horrendous amount of crap? Stealing people, trickery. It's basically just being deceitful and trickery. And this is where I come down to Steam and say, well, why are you allowing this sort of stuff? Why don't you continue? Where is your quality assurance? And I would like to see warning labels. One, if a game is broken, I would like to see someone put a big, massive red sticker, this game is broken. Damn. And you've got to be responsible. Like you imagine a supermarket trying to sell products to consumers, and they didn't care what was wrong with their oh yeah, these strawberries have needles in it. That's fine. Any producer, any company that distributes has to be held responsible for what they distribute. That is stupid even trying to consider it not responsible. Having said that, I used to work for a major chain, and you could go to a supermarket and steal things and you will not be prosecuted. They will not chase you. They'll make once a year they'll get plainclothes detectives in their store, and you'll be unlucky if you get caught, I guess. You'll get prosecuted then, but majority of the time, and I'm not recommending it, I hate stealing, but you can bet your bottom dollar that people will not prosecute you, the companies won't, because it's too difficult and it's too time consuming and it's too much money required for what was usually taken. And it's the same with here. There's not going to be any prosecution if people put malicious content onto the Steam store, because it's just too difficult. So Steam's not going to go down that line. But I would like to say, can Steam, just like a supermarket chain can refuse. This is one of the exciting ones. This is really difficult, actually. This took me hundreds of tries. It was really hard. A supermarket chain can refuse entry to you, and I would like to see more of that. I don't see why these are getting onto the Steam store in the first place, and that's where the problem lies. They just seem to have this mass acceptance, and on the basis of, bad games can be very entertaining, so who are we to say you can't play this bad game? And if this bad game is entertaining, then we're why should we actually refuse your ability? We might as well get some profits from supplying these bad games that prove some sort of entertainment. So again, are YouTubers partly responsible? Am I contributing to the problem by giving these guys screen time? And there's two things I like to do which I think balances that ethics out, so that I'm not just adding to the problem. And the two things I like to do is, one, show the entire game. That way your curiosity is completely settled and you do not have to buy the bad game. That is one thing I like to do. And sometimes, like this game, it takes a while to get through. The other thing I like to do is expose who the actual bad developer is. Present their real name. Because once that's done, it's very less likely that a lot of these bad developers, they thrive in being anonymous. So you'll see me actually jumping away from the blue gems. I'm now trying to enter. I'm actually quite bored with the game, so I'm actually trying to escape the gems, like the Green Devil challenge. I'm making up my own game, and I think that's a fair call, because by presenting when Jim Sterling plays bad games and exposes bad games. There's a lot of Jim Sterling wannabes, and I myself could be looked as that, trying to present bad games. That's not really the case. I'm not interested in doing Jim Sterling style. I will look at both the good points and the bad points of each developer, and I guess that's what annoys me with Vadim Simikov, because technically I honestly feel that this guy is better than what he actually does, that he didn't need to go down this path. And maybe he just, as Jim Sterling himself says, because Jim Sterling gets defamatory claims made against him and all sorts of mind game rubbish, and it never works. But you know, when that happens, Jim Sterling himself, what word did he use? Something along the lines of, is he bitter? Yes, damn right he's bitter, and so he'll attack the company 2 or 3 times more, and he'll be ruthless from that point on. I think Jim Sterling's changed his sort of attacks somewhat now. Now he goes for the bigger companies. Steam itself, for once, for allowing all this sort of stuff. He sort of realizes the problem isn't just with these silly indie developers, where all AAA companies, and there's quite a few. Sid Alpha does the same thing. Check his videos out. So they're all YouTubers I would highly recommend if you're interested in checking out bad developers and their sly techniques. I'm a little bit different to that perspective. And again, look, I really don't have a lot of faith that Steam will ever clean up their game. And as I said, Achievement Hunter was an example of that. I think they had 32 games on Steam store, and it was exactly the same game. There was no difference. It was exactly the same programming, and all he done is retextured the thing. So instead of a penguin NPC coming to get you, it would be an ice block NPC coming to get you. The level design was exactly the same. Everything was exactly the same, and he would just change the name. That's all he did. And none of the games worked. They purposely didn't work. None of them. This is my favorite boss out of the ones he made, even though I destroy it pretty quick. I like the fact that you got to get 3 different eyes. So as I said, I actually think Vadim Simikov was better than this, and I really wished he didn't go down this path. But did Vadim Simikov get bitter after he put effort into his first game and had it flamed? Possibly. I could see that happening, and because I've had similar consequence with other developers. Like, I brought out all the bad points, and the developer went really bad. And I guess indie developers become blind to their rubbish that they put out too. They think, oh look, I've painted a pretty picture, everyone's gonna love this pretty picture. And I'm like, well, actually no, this actually is flawed a lot of ways, and it's very easy to be negative. It is so easy. It's the easiest thing ever. But to be constructive about it is a different level. And that personal developer actually asked me, well, can you say anything positive about my game? And I said, oh yeah, for sure. And I gave him more positive comments about his game than he himself actually had about his game. But he didn't change the fact that the negatives were there. And that's I guess why we bring up the negatives. But sometimes we forget that we need to be constructive as well with our criticism. So I try and be balanced as much as possible to again prevent that bitterness. This guy is actually a talented developer. He doesn't need to rely on the stuff that he relies. Again, a lot of it is assets and everything else. But this guy is actually quite talented in comparison to a lot. But he does practice scrupulous um, does scrupulous things which really make me question him, and I'll bring that up in the very next game. So as I said, 8 games. Invasion was the first. This was done 7 months later. Then there's going to be another game, and eventually we'll get back to Platro. I'll put it into a playlist so you can see all his games as he did them in order. If you want to see who the Vadim Simikov is, I expose him at the end of the Platro video, and I can't be bothered to look up any more information about him. I just think it's fascinating when you look at the style that they go down to. But what I personally don't get is he could have avoided all this just with a little bit more effort, and that's what I don't understand. Why developer says, well, I've closed this game off now, even though it's broken, I'm not going to fix it or fix any issues. Why would you do that? Again, no one could get it out of Russian. It would have taken the developer less than a minute to fix. I fixed it in less than a minute, and I am not a programmer. I don't know a lot of coding. I know the basics, but even I could fix this, and that's what really amazes me, that when they go through the effort, it would have still taken effort to get all this, to get the... Having said that, the publisher probably did a lot by introducing probably a sound music designer and other things. Now here, what are we up to? Is this the one which goes in the opposite? I think this one goes into the negatives, which I wonder if this is the reason why the other levels don't work. Because there's too many enemies on this one, and they go into the negative profile, strangely enough. So that's basically pretty much the story behind Steam and their, sometimes people, and this is what developers have to understand also when it comes to YouTubers, is that they're entertainers, and so they'll be embellish the negativity. They'll that's basically why people watch them, to flame, to go ape, and to some degree you've kind of got to just accept that that's going to be the case. That doesn't necessarily mean your game is now doomed. You could have the worst game on there, and this is where I come back to YouTube is part of the problem. Everyone buys the game to experience it themselves and to do it themselves. Perfect, for instance, of this is the Real Horror Stories. So what Real Horror Stories did, the developer, is he sent a free version of his game to the popular YouTubers PewDiePie and Mark Plyer, and after they did their videos, sales went through the roof. All the teenagers that love PewDiePie, all the kids and all the kids that love Mark Plyer bought the game. It only took 2 free games for them to mass sell their game, and all they did is sent it to 2 popular YouTubers, and the game is absolutely rubbish. There's there's a free version that you might as well play. So that's a perfect for instance. And again, I guess the other thing, other than warning labels of this is a broken game, that I would like to see Steam introduce. Instead of Greenlight, can they do something like itch.io, where actual game developers that want to get their name out there, is there a place where they can just do free demo versions, or can they? I'm not really keen on the demo version, because even demo versions can be really, you can work that to your advantage too much. Maybe just itch.io like Itch.io does it. Again, whatever you present, you're going to have it exploited, which comes down to where is your quality control, Steam. And I'm going to do a video to show how Steam really has no quality control, because there's games that are evidently scams, and I've done 200 plus complaints, and these games have still been making money, still selling for over 3 years, and evidently Steam doesn't remove them because every time they make a sale on the game, they make money also. But do you really want your reputation to, because eventually at some point in time you're going to get competitors, and if your competitor, you know, offers better quality and protects the consumer from these places, I myself would be more attracted to that consumer. And surely it can't be hard to actually, you know, put people on your payroll to legitimately come up with warning labels that are basically, you know, and I don't think a lot of us would care if you just put asset flip warning label, or broken game warning label, or this game only takes, you know, an hour to pass warning label. Whatever the warning label you put in, you know, we want greater clarification. I saw another documentary with film and television raiders. I can't remember, like the MPAA, and they were saying that one of the biggest things people get them on is, you know, what they allow, like when it comes to R-rated and things like that, what they allow on the movies. And they said what you don't understand is that we become desensitized so much because we go, well, at least it's not that movie which I banned. Like they said, you would be shocked at the level of stuff that they have to ban. It is so, you know, and it outnumbers the good stuff by a huge amount. And that's all they're paid to do: watch movies all day, rate them, and whether okay them for the market, etc. Surely Steam has that. Having said that, as I said, I've reported games 200 times or more, and then they still get on the Steam store. Like there's no if, buts, or maybe. Now on the Steam, when this originally was on the Steam store, it had a storyline to it, but that was only placed on the Steam store, and the storyline was something along the lines of this guy has woken up from a facility, he's been experimented on, he's just now out there for the experience, something along those lines. It was actually quite better written, but it was actually on the Steam store. Which again is commonplace for you know, bad indie developers. Instead of putting it inside the game, sometimes it's an afterthought, I guess. And that's the last banana you have to collect. And what are we up to now? We're nearly finished the game. We've nearly been through this for an hour. So under Steam's new law, of course, you wouldn't have been able to pass this game in an hour because there's a couple of levels that are really, really hard, which you would have taken you over and over and over again. But let's say you perfectly unlocked everything straight off in one shot, then you would be able to refund this game under the 2-hour gameplay law. And this is what Steam's hoping will prevent shonky developers, shonky curators, shonky publishers from having a winning effect, or because again they're getting inundated by rubbish. But Steam, the only way you're going to stop the inundation of rubbish is have a proper quality control. You know, if you're worried about these games, deleting these games for entertainment value, put them on, allow them to be placed so that the developers can get credit where due or their name out there, but make sure it's on a free sort of basis. At the moment, you've got games that are selling for 200, 250, and they're rubbish like this. At the moment, you got bundles of games submitted together, and it's rubbish games that do not work. You've got a game that's getting sold for $20 and it's broken. That is a crime. That isn't allowed. This is the final boss, and you should be ashamed to be making money from this. You need to clean up your reputation, and this is all that we're asking you to do. I hope Steam continues to do that. I hope they actually pile money in to provide better quality, but who knows. So here we have the credits. This one does have credits. Vadim Simikov is the guy that I exposed. He was the coder. Arthur Kovalenko, it must be 8-Bit, who did the sound. And Team Hipix, which is a sock puppet account. Dagestan, which is a shonky publisher, no longer on the Steam store. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play you the actual original trailer that was on. So as you can see, 6 achievements there, and show you how misleading trailers can be. So this was the original trailer, and then I'm going to leave it there. Enjoy. And as you can see, also it was 77 cents on an 85% that originally sold. You can see how much it sold. So guy made money from putting out rubbish. Where's that game? I want to play that one. Oh, I just did. You can see how misleading trailers are. Until next time.